Hi everybody and welcome to Ireland. We're still the most indebted nation in the Western Hemisphere. I'm sorry I didn't make a little snippet, a little posting yesterday, but I got tied up and I was busy doing other things, and I'll try and make up for it today. I just want to talk about two things if I could today. The first thing I'd like to talk about is last week the Irish government had a bond auction, and our government at the moment really only has a couple of ways to get money. The way I see it is they can get money from the taxation from the revenue service. They can get money from bonds, issuing bonds, and they can get money from the European Central Bank. I can't really think of any other way they can get money. But they had a bond auction anyway last week, and they raised €1 billion. And the tenure of the article, I've made the little connection here and you can read it. It was in the Irish Times, and the general thrust of the article was that we've done so well. The auction was oversubscribed 3 times, which is fair enough. And basically what that means is the Irish government put up €1 billion worth of bonds, but they could have sold 3 billion had they wished. But what the article doesn't really tell you is that none of this is rocket science. The Germans held an auction the previous day. I don't know how much the auction was for or anything like that, but in our auction we had 3 sets of bonds that we sold. We sold 2 and 3 year bonds, I think 5-year bonds and 10-year bonds, and the interests that we were giving out for those bonds so that people would buy them were, for the short ones, for the short period ones, we were giving out 4%, and then for the larger amounts it went up 4.25 for the 5-year ones, and eventually up to 4.5 and 4.75 for the longer term ones. Now, the Germans, as I say, had a bond auction the day before, and because their credit rating is so much, they have a triple. I think they have a AAA rating. We don't anymore. But anyway, the bottom line about it is they give out on interest on their bonds much less, and obviously that was taken up. But the bottom line about it is, if you're a hedge fund manager, or if you're an investment manager of some sort, or you're a pension fund manager, and this Irish government come along, and you're going to get between 1.5% and 2% more from the Irish government than you do from the German government, who do you think you're going to buy the bonds from? You're going to buy the bonds from the Irish government. I know our situation's bad, but we haven't defaulted so far on our treasury bonds, and although our external debt is massive, it's 1.7 trillion, our actual government debt is still within the normal parameters, reasonable parameters. In May of this year it was 60 billion, and they say the government has to raise 25 billion this year, so at the end of the year it's going to be 85 billion. But we mustn't forget, we still next year will have to pay about 3 billion to service that indebtedness, and that isn't even dealing with the capital sum. Anyway, the next thing I'd like to talk about is UBS, and I have to read an article here, and this article is from the Financial Times, so I'm going to give you the little link again, and it's written by a lady called Joanna Chung, and it's about the UBS, which is the biggest investment bank in Switzerland. It's a commercial bank, the biggest private bank, and I'm sure it has a public aspect as well, but it's the biggest bank in Switzerland. And this has been going on now for several months, and what happened was the US government told them that they close their offices in the United States, and that they would issue a major case against them for unless they got details relating to United States citizens who held numbered secret bank accounts in the UBS throughout Switzerland. So last week a settlement was arrived at, and this basically explains the settlement. And the background to this is that what happened was one of the UBS employers became a whistleblower Now, he was either forced to do it by the United States government or he did it voluntarily, but I probably didn't do it voluntarily. He was probably forced. But anyway, it says here, former UBS banker given prison term. It tells you that a man called Bradley Birkenfeld, former UBS private banker turned key informant, was on Friday sentenced to a tougher than expected 40 months in prison for helping wealthy American clients evade taxes. So he got essentially 3 years and 4 months for helping American clients, obviously very wealthy ones, evade their taxes and hide their money offshore in numbered accounts in Switzerland. Now here's the next bit that is interesting. It says the sentencing handed down by US District Court William Zlock comes 2 days after a United States and Swiss government signed a deal under which the Internal Revenue Service, the United States Tax Authority, would receive information about 4,450 UBS clients suspected of tax evasion. Now these would be American citizens, obviously. So we're talking about 4,450. All right. And then there's a lot of commentary just about it, and quoting from various people involved and prosecutors and all the rest. And I just want to go to the bottom of it. All right. And what it says basically here is Mr. Birkenfeld, he's the man who went to prison. He's the whistleblower. He pleaded guilty last year to helping a US billionaire property developer evade paying $7.2 million in taxes, and said he and others involved in UBS had advised their clients on ways to conceal assets held offshore from the United States authorities. So I just want to make a comment between the way that the Americans handle it. 7.2 million in taxes, that's about 5.5 million euros. And not so long ago, about 9 years ago, we had a man called Dennis O'Brien who left this country owing the revenue service in this country 20 million euros in capital gains on the sale of ESA Digifone. He then declared himself a tax exile. He's able to live here for half of the year, and I believe that within 3 weeks of him leaving this country and owing the money to the Inland Revenue Service here, our tax authorities, 20 billion euros, he was back at Dublin Airport at the VIP lounge with the red carpet thrown out, literally, and with our political policemen guarding him in case any of the citizenry, you know, the people who do pay taxes, those people, in case any of them might accost Mr. O'Brien and challenge him. We live in an extraordinary world. We truly, truly do. But it's interesting to see the coin. One side, the great American capitalist republic, how they deal with their tax evaders, and little Ireland, so we're such a powerful individual country, we turn everything on its arse. We turn everything on its backside. We do everything all arse about face. If there was a wheel, we would want to reinvent it. Anyway, we'll talk more later. Thank you very much. Bye.